Imagine five best friends. They're happy, excited, and heading home after a night of celebration. They have everything to live for, including a championship game the next morning, one they've been training for all year. Then, they vanish. But they don't just disappear. They make a series of decisions so baffling, so utterly defying of logic, that nearly 50 years later, investigators are still awake at night, trying to make the pieces fit. This isn't just a missing persons case. It is a descent into inexplicable psychological horror. This is the story of the Yuba County Five. It's February 24th, 1978, and you have five men from Yuba City, California, often referred to as the Boys. They ranged in ages from 24 to 32. Ted Weir, Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, Jack Hewitt, and Gary Mathias. These men were close-knit. They lived with their parents and had mild intellectual disabilities, but they were high-functioning, employed, and deeply loved by their community. That night, they drove their immaculate turquoise and white Mercury Montego 50 miles north to Chico to watch a college basketball game. They were in high spirits because their favorite team had won. After the game, they did what any group of friends would do. They stopped to a convenience store to load up on snacks. Hostess cherry pies, Langendorf lemon pies, a quart of milk, and some candy bars. They were due home. Parents were up waiting. They had their own basketball tournament the next morning. Their uniforms were laid out on their bed. However, none of the boys ever came home. Instead of driving 45 minutes south on the straight, flat highway back to Yuba City, the car turned east. They drove deep into the Plumas National Forest. They ascended high into the treacherous Sierra Nevada mountains, driving nearly 70 miles off course on a dark, bumpy gravel road in the dead of winter. Why? Nobody knows. Days later, a ranger found the Mercury Montego, and this is where the American Dyatlov Pass comparisons begin. The car was stuck in a snowbank, but not badly, and it wasn't broken down. The gas tank was a quarter full, the engine started immediately when the investigators hotwired it later, so five healthy men could have easily pushed that car free, but didn't. Instead, they got out, they left the car, locked the doors, and walked into the freezing darkness, dressed only in light jackets and tennis shoes. The search was massive, but winter storms buried the mountain, halting their rescue efforts. It wasn't until the spring thaw months later that the forest revealed its tragic secrets, and the answers were more haunting than the disappearance themselves. Nearly 20 miles from the car, searchers found a Forest Service trailer. Inside, they found the remains of Ted Weir. Ted had lived for weeks, maybe even months, inside of that trailer. Here is the part that defies understanding. The trailer was stocked. It had enough canned food and dried rations to feed all five men for a year. It had a propane tank filled and ready to provide heat. It had matches and paper to start a fire in the fireplace. But Ted didn't use them. He consumed only a few cans of military rations, opened with an Army P-38 can opener. He didn't turn on the gas, and he didn't start a fire. He was found wrapped in 8 sheets, his shoes missing, having lost his life to the cold and starvation while surrounded by fuel and food. It was as if he, or they, were scared to reveal their presence, as if they were hiding from something outside. The remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were found roughly halfway between the car and the trailer. Jack Hewitt's remains were found near the trailer. But Gary Mathias, the one member of the group who had served in the Army and might have had the survival skills to lead them, he was never found. His tennis shoes were inside the trailer, suggesting he might have swapped them for Ted's leather boots, which were missing. But Gary himself vanished into the wilderness, leaving no trace. There was one witness that night, a man named Joseph Scons, stuck in the snow up the road. He had claimed that while suffering a mild heart attack, he saw headlights. He saw a group of men and a woman with a baby standing in the headlights of another vehicle. When he called out for help, the lights went dark and the figures went silent. Was there someone else on the mountain? Did someone force them up that road? Or was it a tragic cascade of confusion and fear? We are left with a car that worked, food that wasn't eaten, a fire that was never lit, and five men who walked out of safety into the silence of the snow.